Hey, digital seahorse. Oh wait, is my sound on? Oh yeah, it is, okay. How's things going? I'm doing what I do, you know, colorizing some SEM images. Just a little bit of work from today. I was on the SEM, I didn't stream any of it, I just collected some images, these ones. And some other ones that are actually for research, but I just collected these for funsies. Not totally sure what this species is. It's a Cavennula, and the ends deflect in opposite directions, which would normally make me think that it's variostriata? No. What's the name of this diatom? It's a Cavennula. Oh, Lapidosa. It's closely related to Lapidosa. It's in this genus. And CQ Wisdom. How you doing? I caught you working out again. I think it was Sunday morning. I don't think I said anything. I was just hanging out watching you struggle with looked like maybe Dance Dance Revolution. It's good to see you work out though. It's a nice thing to watch people like get healthy. Let's see, seahorse. Yeah, like that. And I don't remember ever being famous. I'm just me. I just thought it would be funny to. I'm famous in your book. Oh, well, cool. I'm not sure I'm famous in my book, so I still got a lot of work to do on that front. But to be honest, I don't want to be famous. There's a stigma that comes with being famous, which is you lose all sense of peace and quiet to have people constantly chasing you around, digging into your personal life or whatever. Hey studio, how's it going? Studio. To give Studio Cornix a follow. I think she streams tonight. Is that true? You're planning on streaming later tonight? About to stream in like 10. Oh, like 10 minutes? Oh, okay. Well, when I get done here, maybe we'll give you a raid. Just thought I would do a little bit of photoshopping. These images that I collected earlier today. And this Cavennula is sort of perplexing. It has characteristics of Lapidosa, but it has the shape of Variostriata. But it's some sort of Cavennula. So I don't know if it's just not on diatoms of North America, which is, to be fair, probably the likely case, or whether it actually is something new. But these ends look really super cool to me right here. this hooking opposite end on the bottom, right at the terminal end of the ray feed. Hey Sam, how you doing? How you been? We're looking at some shots I collected today. I was actually looking for Pucella, which is the diatom that we were looking for on Wednesday, and I made some new stubs and was playing around with them. It's kind of nice to get in a little SEM time without streaming, so I didn't have to talk to anybody while I was doing it. I just got lost in what I was doing, but I only had like a little like basically hour and a half window, and so I didn't want to stream during that time because I thought, well, it's going to cut into my chances of actually getting anything done if I have to talk and interact with people. So this Snap 2 mask that grabs objects is pretty nice, but it's a little sloppy. So I often have to come in and say, not this one, not this thing, please, or this thing, or this one. We'll get rid of that. And this thing. You can get rid of that. I don't want any of these things. Or this one. Let's get rid of that one. And then hit OK. And now I'm... Well, it almost got rid of all the bad stuff. Oh, I think those got moved into my YouTube channel, if you really wanted to have a look at them. But I'll do some coloring. I mean, that's what we're here for right now. So, I mean, that's what I'm doing. I don't know what you guys are doing. You're just hanging out, I guess. I'm just trying to clean up those masks. They're have a little bit of junk in them. It's like it got rid of most of this stuff there. It's like a little bit of a rind around the outside of these. Yeah, that's good. You'll be lurking and watching awesomeness from afar while you get stuff done. Oh, well, that's cool. You can hang out as much as you like, and then later we'll go see what the studio's up to, probably. So all I did was I used this tool, which is Object Selection Tool, and I selected everything. And then I use this button up here that says Select and Mask. You can basically modify it by adding or subtracting bits of it, so that I could get the diatom isolated from the background. And then what I normally do is just inverse the mask. So now the background is masked as the object selected. And then you can't see when I go into the menus, but I think. But then I usually just turn the contrast way up and the brightness way down so that background becomes less relevant. It's just a way of like highlighting the diatom. And then I will inverse it again. So now it's just highlighting the diatom. In case I want to do something that just colorizes the diatom. So a lot of times I go in and play with the neurofilters. And hopefully it doesn't cause my computer to crash. We start with just the base colorizing that it does. And then it throws some color onto it. And it's always some blends of purples and oranges and reds, which I don't necessarily like. And you can modify those colors a bit if you want. But I don't actually plan on using any of the colors. I never do, or almost never do, use the colors. I just want the texture because it makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional when it actually texturizes the holes and things. So, and then you can turn up the saturation if you want it to be like, extra pink. Like I said, I'm not going to keep those colors, but I do want the, black and white images are very flat looking. And so what it does is it basically takes the existing contrast zones on the image and turns them into colors for us. So, this was all gray, and now I've got some pinks and some sort of purpley blues in here. And then my next step, which you also probably can't see, is that I add a gradient layer. So, and then I usually start with soft light because I don't want it to be a really like obnoxious gradient layer. And then I just change it to, whatever. If I want to make it look rainbowy, I go into iridescence, and I can just hit OK. And then usually I mess with that. So I'm in here in the gradient fill, and I'll, maybe I'll do a reflected. Sometimes I do a linear fill. Sometimes I do like a radial fill. This is a reflected fill, and I try to tilt it at the angle my diatom is. So here it's highlighting different parts of the diatom or against the direction that the diatom is doing, so that it's basically symmetrical. This is sort of symmetrically the opposite direction. If you want to see what the filter's doing, you can just switch the control from soft light to normal. So that's what the overprinting color is doing. And then if we click on these different options, multiply, darken, color burn, linear burn, darker color just takes the darker color. For example, lightens along those patterns, but most of them I don't like, and I don't want to do what they're trying to do. I like a soft light sometimes, or that's a little too bold. Also too bold. Sometimes I'll do like a saturation or a hue, but you can see the rainbow effect is a little too strong, and now it looks goofy when you do that. So if you just do like a soft light, you won't see it, but you'll sense it in the background. And actually, I think I want it to go the other way, something like this, to give us some sort of like shading over the colors that are present. And if I feel like it's too much, I usually turn down the opacity a little so that it's not so distinct looking, just as a way to play with it a bit. And then I usually do what people tell you never to do, which is I decide this is sort of what I wanted, and I'm ready to start messing with it, so I'll just flatten it. There's no going backwards for me, there's just forward. If I don't like it, I usually delete it immediately. So, and then I start playing with things like the brightness and the contrast. Hey, Dr. Derp, what's up? We are colorizing a diatom. This one's nowhere near the color that I want it to be, but I'm going to denoise it a little, which happens in Topaz, so you won't see it. I don't like what it's doing there. It's like flattening it too much. Still doing it. I think we're just gonna tell it no. Okay. A little too much. Yeah, Topaz is fun to use, but for diatoms sometimes it gets rid of the holes. It's like, oh, this is noise? It's not noise. That's the diatom, and I was trying to keep that part. So I have to fight with it a little bit. Let's add another gradient over top of the one that we have. So again, I'm going to start with an overlay, and then what I want is something to... Hey, Chengmania! Thank you for the subscription. I got this somewhere in here. I've got a Chen command, don't I? Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for the subscription. And also, let's give a shout out to Dr. Derp, although he always resists it. There's that. Wacha. Perfect. Just doing a little bit of colorizing. And I don't want rainbow for the whole tone. I want to get something a little bit too pink, too orange. I always think I'll start off looking at all the colors, and then I usually end up going with like a blue or a purple, and I don't know why. Those tend to be the colors that I sort of tend to navigate towards more frequently, but I guess they have sort of a more unique appearance, maybe. It translates well online. Something like this. And then I'm going to modify that. Again, I want it to be either against the direction or with the direction. And I'm using a slightly darker color on one side to kind of highlight the top of the diatom. So I've got it reversed from the way that it started off, and also at an angle that's basically you know, the short axis of the diatom it's in alignment with. And then sometimes I actually go in and monkey with the actual color gradient. I just come in and add something in here to make it a little bit more interesting. Oh, that's a little too orange. Something like this. And I might even play with the distance between. Hey, Adventurin', how's it going? Oh, Antelope. This diatom, let me see. The original image, I clipped off the scale bar, but I still have it in the actual image. Let me dig it out, and then I'll just tell you the width of the screen, basically. This is this diatom. The whole width of the screen is about 18 microns. So, you know, if you do a little bit of Pythagorean theorem, you could figure out the exact length of the diatom. But that's the width of the left to right of the image. So for this one, this is an OK, and this is an OK, and let me check on whether I want to do something else with this. It's pretty small. They're pretty tiny, especially the freshwater diatoms. This is where we were with overlay. This is a soft light, so there's just a slight difference between those two. Actually, I think overlay is a little bit less pink. Hard light, you can sort of see the effect of the filter a little bit stronger. Thank you for the follow, Bread Boy. If I wanted to get it to look really sort of punky, I could do these neon extraction, subtraction, division options. This is just the hue that it's taking, which sort of neuters the rest of the colors in the image. I'm not sure I like that. This is just the saturation, that's the color, it's the luminosity. I think I liked overlay the best. It's sort of like a mix of blue and purple. And then I'm actually going to play with the hue in the adjustments. I'm just going to turn down the saturation a little because it's a little too pink and maybe just tweak it a little bit towards the blue side using the hue tool. This is kind of like a nice middle ground for me. Hey, Duck 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 Goose, how's it going? Adventurin, how was your stream? Sorry, I didn't mean to just totally blow off your raid. I said hello, but you were probably still coming into the channel, getting through the, navigating through the whatchamacallits, commercials and whatnot. Raiding with a party of 1, so just brought yourself in with the raid, but I still appreciate it, so thank you for that. And did that Newt Newt play? I've got my headphones on. I can't hear. If it didn't, let me know. It should have. What were you streaming? Do you want to talk a little bit about what you were up to? Yeah, thank you. The SEM is basically just a really fancy camera. Despite costing a lot more than any camera you could imagine, that's basically all it is a fancy camera for me. It takes the diatoms and then we're basically just using it for topography. So it turns our three-dimensional objects into two-dimensional images, and then here I'm just colorizing it for flavor, for fun, to get people interested in diatoms. I feel like it's a little bit easier to do that with color images. I could always post the original image, but this is sort of the artistic side of what I'm doing. And a lot of what I do sort of combines art and science together, which I like. So, hey, Shadowfax, are you? Did Studio start streaming and you're here instead of there? That's what I want to know. Or you got me in a tab and her in a tab. Alright, I'm going to save this image. I probably am going to modify it a little bit, but I wanted to get like a base image that was close to where I would, submit it to Instagram for this for the stream. And I like to just sort of get it close, and then if I decide later on that I wanted to tweak it some more, I can. I only have 5 images to mess around with. Mondays are Botany Book Club. Oh, that's really cool. We were talking about the last bit of Robin Wall Kimmerer's Gathering Moss and ecology and microorganisms associated with mosses. Very cool. A lot of times I actually look through mosses on the microscope, so I'm glad you came in. And we look at rotifers a lot. We see a lot of rotifers, springtails, mites. I've never actually found a water bear in a moss, but you're supposed to be able to find them there. I find them on sticks all the time, but I've never actually found one in moss. Maybe I just haven't looked in the right mosses, but I've tried basically every moss I could find, between the cracks on sidewalks and growing on bricks and just like all over the place here in Indiana. I never find it. So, yeah, I don't know what that's about. But I do find it when I look in lichens. This is just the first step. I slapped on that same color filter that I used last time. Only it looks a lot cooler with this because this is some weird chrysophyte. So this is not a diatom. I saw these all over in the samples, and it's a chrysophyte with at least 3 spines. I can't tell if it has a 4th spine that might have broken off on the backside that's like tetrahedron into the stub, but I kind of assume that there is one because it's not laying like with all the spines sticking straight out. It's laying like a pyramid with a pokey part pointed up right here, which made me think that this is like, tetrahedron. This little hole, I think you can see my pointer, but this little hole in the middle of it is the aperture sort of like a snail opercula or something like that, except for that's where the organism climbs in and or climbs out, I guess. But they insist in here. They hide in here, hibernate, and so this is like their resting stage, is what they often call them. So it's like a temporary, usually over the winter or something, they'll climb in and they'll make this structure. The actual organism, the chrysophyte organism, looks nothing like this. They look a little bit like a roly-poly or something, but they're an algae, and so they have like overlapping scales and things, and but this is the stomatocyst, which is how we mostly find chrysophytes. And these particular little golf ball looking things with the spines were, like I said, all over in the sample, which to me was really sort of interesting. I have a book on chrysophytes, two books on them actually, and when they're really distinct like this, I think, oh, I should go look through it and figure out which one this is. So maybe I'll do that before I post this image, when I get to that point where I'm actually ready to post it. There. So the color effect is present on it, and this is just the default colorizing. And I'm gonna go back to my little layer masks. Actually, I might just do a full-on gradient map, which is more or less the same thing in a way. I need to get off of the blues, and let's go back to these iridescent colors. And that's not actually the one that I wanted on it. It's a the gradient maps are a little bit harder to use in a way, because they don't actually fit on there like a normal channel. You can't modify them in quite the same way. You just get a sort of a, I want to do this thing to it, and then you're stuck with it. So I don't know, maybe I will go with the other route. It's just a little bit cleaner to do it that way. I can actually like use it as a layer. It's a little bit easier to control, so that's the way I usually do it. You can make it a light, or you can make it something that's more noticeable. And colors a diatone. Very nice. Let's see if we did something a little bit orangey. And then we can play with that. I think that's a bit much. Still a bit much. I really like color dodge, but sometimes it just takes over the whole project in a way that I don't like. This one makes it look super alien. Cheese Puff, yeah. Hey Devil and Mrs. J and Turtles, how's it going? Ooh. This strips out everything except for orange. This is just the hue filter. This is the saturation filter, which is too much. That's the color filter. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to come back to just soft light. And then, oh, well, maybe we could do like that color filter, but then I'll just scale it back a little. And then I'll play with the I'm going to drop that down on that layer, and then I'm just going to play with the saturation because it gives me actually a little bit more control, in my opinion, to do it this way. And I can get rid of that sort of gray, neutrally gray looking, you know, where the silica is. You're winding down. Oh, well, that's good to know. There's that. Shoutouts are working. The highlights are the only part that I don't like right now, so I'm just going to try to tone it down a little bit. There. And then it's still like a little bright. It's like trying to find some middle ground. Kind of like that. Stripped out orange one kind of made me look like an odd moon with an asteroid. It does look a little bit like an asteroid, like just the way it is. The thing is, I can get back to that by just turning down the saturation. I mean, saturation's easy to, like this thing is sort of like a pretty easy slider to control for getting the color range the way you want it, like how intense you want the color. So this is pretty good. I think probably what I'm going to do is send this over to Lightroom, where I can mess with the clarity a little bit, and then I may just do a little bit of tweaking of the I like to play with not this tool, but the color balance a little bit, and just get into the shadow area and make it a little bit like monkey with the color a little bit in the shadow. I don't actually like the way that I can control it on this, so I usually do that in Lightroom, which is another Adobe product that I often use, and I usually find myself sort of bouncing back and forth between this one and that one, so I'll usually send it to Lightroom for a little while and fix the clarity and a little bit of the texture. So it has some sort of nested controls that do a lot of the same things that I want, and I can get rid of these highlights without actually getting rid of the contrast. So, but our little orange chrysophyte seems like it's ready to be saved, a cheese puff. So I'm going to save that one. And again, I'll probably just tweak it a little bit later, but it's mostly where I want it, which is like the first step, which is, you know, the biggest step for most of this. And then we'll get rid of that. This is a Cerarella, this is a diatom, and then I have two of these Lindavia tripartitas, this one and this one. This was a flat view of that. That one's at an angle. They're two different diatoms, but it's the same species. And this one I really do think I need to send through Topaz. So I'm going to start with that and see if Topaz will let me clean it up without getting rid of the actual features. 'Cause it tends to just be like too aggressive with diatoms sometimes. So it's like, it's noisy. The SEM is actually a pretty noisy camera. I want to stop getting rid of my holes in my diatom, which is what it's doing right now. It's still doing it. That's actually pretty good right there. Sorry, I know you can't see what's going on, but I'm just fixing the noise. So SEM's super noisy as a tool because it's made by, you know, firing electrons, and the trade-offs for most images in the scanning electron microscope are this trade-off between how long do I want to wait for the picture to collect and how much detail do I need. And so a tool like Topaz Labs that actually like takes the noise out of the image and leaves you with the detail is perfect, because it lets me take my pictures at kind of like a noisy setting that's a little bit faster, and then I can sort of refine the detail afterwards like we just did with this image. So this is Lindavia tripartita. The diatom there. That's Lindavia. Hopefully that little command worked. Yeah. Actually, that's tripartita in the top left corner right there. That's what it looks like in the light microscope. And so there's these little triangular shaped hole patterns projecting out from the middle. They're like in groups of 3, which is where it gets the name tripartita, like 3 parts. So it's like a circle with 3 divisions, each of those with having 3 little holes, although it doesn't look like this one actually has 3 on the other 2 branches. It just has 2. Sometimes when they get small, they can't fit all the parts in, so they just try to get it as close as possible. Yeah, so this is that diatom. And let's see if we just slap on that neural filter, what happens to it. See, just everything's kind of like a red blob. Orange and red blob. You can change the base color a little bit. But I'd have to get rid of the red to get rid of the... So yeah, just nothing looks good when you start messing with it, so it's better just to leave it alone. This is kind of like just base coloring anyways. It's there for giving it depth, and I'm not even gonna, it's not gonna be red at all when I'm done. But it will give me a little bit more depth around some of the dimensions, so it doesn't look quite so flat. That's just like a usually first step that I do. And get rid of the red color altogether actually and give it this sort of just red middle part. And then I usually just start stacking layers on top of stuff until I like it. Or messing with the... This has actually a little bit of color noise. But for now I think it'll be okay. Just gonna tweak the contrast a bit. There. Now it's looking pretty sharp with those really bright white spines on it. And I want to sort of preserve that super bright white spine and these little nodules that stick up off of the surface. I sort of want to keep that look. But not the red color. So I'm going to try to do some monkeying around with it to adjust that without getting rid of the bright white. We'll see how good I do with that. If I mess with that too much, it gets rid of all of the depth, so I don't want it to do that. Let's see if I can just do it with this. I really like this, but it's way too dark. creepy purple and red together. Aha. There. Let's start with this. We turn that purple into, or that red into a purple. Somewhere in here. And then I'm going to see about kind of tinting it a little bit bluer now with the purple kept. Too purple. This, but radial and reversed and that's a little too much. That's crazy. Actually, that's really sort of a stunning reversal, like complete reversed image. It's very confusing. Also, that one's very confusing. All the ups are downs and downs are ups. This is the divide tool. No. Too much, but yes. I'm just going to mess with this gradient a little bit. What's this? Actually, I just want to get rid of that. Something along. It's getting out of control. A little bluer. Something like that works really well. The spines are still nice and bright. And then I want to keep that smoothness where it is. I just want to hit the opacity a little bit. It's nice. It's very frozen looking. And then let's things are getting crazy. Let's get the background a little bit more distinct, because the blue with the purple and the blue is like a little much. And I'm going to invert that. And there. Now it's a lot more, like it pops out a lot more at us. I like that combination. I think it needs a little bit of fine adjustment here. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, I'm just playing with layered things. This is the vibrance. This is the saturation. I mean, if we turned it all the way up, it looks like it kind of glows and it's a little too much. But I kind of want to have it, those distinct bands stick out. Something like this. Good first start. And I'll probably just edit it a little bit as with everything else. This one. You can see the 3 sets of holes and stuff around the margins with this one, although they're a little bit bigger, because this, I think this diatom is actually a little bit bigger than that one. Again, this one needs to be denoised quite badly. Like that. Good. Once you get the settings, it just keeps them, which is nice. And then this is still like under contrasted even when they very nice, somewhere in this range. Ooh. I'm not a fan of that at all. Alright, let's play around with this one just a little bit. And then I didn't want to stream with it for too long. I'm going to clean up the noise on it. Hopefully. I think it cleaned it. It popped open, did something, and then just shut itself down. But it looks like it actually got it. This is a serverella, and these really large structures on the outside edge are called fibula, sort of openings that are connected to the valve face from the outside edge. And this is the raphe for this diatom. It runs along the circumference all the way around the outside. So one branch starts here and goes all the way around to here, and then the other branch of the raphe, which would normally be like one of them runs from here to there and one of them runs from here to there. For this diatom, it pushed one of the raphies towards one side of the diatom and one of the raphies towards the other side of the diatom, which is actually really a strange, it's like elongated in a way that a squid's head is or something. It's a very strange arrangement, but it actually gives them a lot more of their valve face with a raphie on it. And if you want to be highly mobile, that's how you do it, because the raphie is how the diatoms crawl around. So it's a way for them to basically make themselves more mobile. Yeah, fibula, exactly. Hey, how is it going? Breaded Shrimp, I haven't seen you in like a super long time in my channel. It's nice to see you here. Hopefully you're doing well. You don't even hang out on the Discord much anymore. That actually looks really sharp when you just do that. I didn't have to do hardly anything to this one except for hit the colorize button and it looked good. That's a good look. Colors, everything looks really sharp. I'm going to play with it a little bit. I love it when I don't have to do much. It's a little oversaturated. And I might actually play a little bit with the hues. Let's see what we can do. I like that. Very nice. Just by itself. I hardly had to do anything to that one. Let's see if I just add a little gradient to it. A very light, soft light overlay gradient. It's gonna look ugly and then I'm hoping it'll look better. Give it a second. It's a bit much. I kind of like the green, but it's a bit much. And I don't think I can tone it down very easily. Let's see. There. Just wanted to give it a little bit of depth. I didn't want it to go crazy. Hey, Bobali. How is it going, Boba Binks? The war general has arrived. Cargo Cult, hello. Last night at 12, a black truck parked outside our house. We asked the neighbors and no one knew anything about it. Ooh, a black truck. It's going terrible. My family got death threats because this guy sold our info in jail. Oh. Oh. That does sound sort of terrible. You need to be careful, Dangling. That black truck could be anything. My photos are making you hungry. Do you think they painted the truck, Dangling? Or do you think that it's a different group of people? Just trucks that park in front of you and people are watching you. You need to stay safe. Don't get crazy. You're hungry for Smarties, yeah, exactly. Diatoms do look a little bit like food. I'm not sure what this one looks like for food, but I tried to make it look, it's looking a little sushi, you know? It's kind of like a sushi color, sushi tint. I actually wanted to play with just a little bit of the tone for this one. I think that's an improvement. Maybe it looks a little fishy. Sushi? Fishy? Something like that. This is good though. I hardly had to touch this one. It looks good as it is. A combination of like reds and dark reds and greens and yellows. Okay, we'll save that. And we're just down to one questionable diatom image. And then we can find somebody to raid. So this is the Lindavia tripartita again. I really like this this shot. Need to work on which one of these things to use. I like that, but I don't like the whole of it. It needs some editing. Trying to get the right set of colors. And these gradients is sometimes a challenge. Let's do like this, but instead of this linear pattern, and I need to scale it outward a little. I like that. It's got a spring sort of look to it. Let's see. I think I'm already crazy. I can't sleep. All I can do is watch the cameras. Well, just be careful. And I don't know if they're just watching you. I guess that's not a big deal. Just be safe. Toast9696 said, did you collect this sample personally from Beauty Lake? And the answer is yes. I went in the field and collected this as a core from a boat, which I carried into the site, and a coring device, which I carried into the site. And I want to say that we collected this core in 2008. And this particular sample in the core is, you can't see it, but all around on the SEM stub is a bunch of, it looks like a green Oreo. It does look a little bit like a Shamrock Oreo or something. Is volcanic ash, and based on its position in the core and the age of Beauty Lake, I actually think that's the Mazama ash that's all around in this sample, which puts the age for it around 7,000 years ago, which is roughly how old we are. It's basically right at the ash, because ash is all over in the sample, like big chunks of volcanic ash. Well, big relative to the diatoms. And so I think that's where we are in the core. It's like a 1 meter core that we collected. And then this was part of a research project. I've published papers on Beauty Lake before, and if you click on the research button down there, it'll open up a bunch of stuff. And my colleague and I, Jasmine Sorrows, wrote the grant for this project, and then did all of they did modern sampling in Beauty Lake, and I did the paleo work in Beauty Lake. And she's an ecologist, so she was mostly doing ecological experiments where they collected water, put some diatoms in it with nutrients, and try to figure out which grew better under different nutrient and light and depth conditions. And that became a paper that went into ecology. And then I did the paleo record from that exact same site, and I published a paper on that in 2020. It was either right at the start of 2020 or at the end of 2019, where I talk about regional coherence between sites that we collected on this project. So I did one from Hidden, one from Beauty, one from Beartooth Lake, and one from Emerald Lake, all in the Beartooth Mountains, and then in Glacier National Park. So, but this sample was, like I said, towards the bottom of the core, and then we analyzed all this stuff, and the samples actually even dried out, and because I hadn't looked at them in so long, and I sent all the slides to Jasmine and my other colleague on the project. And then I was looking for this Pulchella to take some pictures of for the Diatoms of North America website, and I just sort of came across some of these things I thought would be fun to take some pictures of. So, good question though, Toast. Hopefully things get better on that front soon. Yeah, Dangling, stay safe, man. Sorry you can't stay long. You're going for your second COVID shot? You're just now getting to the second COVID shot? Cargo Cult. Are you in the US? Anyway, because it's super easy to get shots around here now. Minty Fresh, yes, Boba. Last night while you were watching the cams, you started to see faces, but it was just your mind making faces out of objects in the shadows. That's actually what your mind does. It's pretty good at looking for faces in shapes. And I've made some posts about that before, about how diatoms, you start to see faces in diatoms. Or the reverse happens. You start to see diatoms in everything when you start looking at them a lot. So, both of those things are sort of consequences of staring at a lot of things, looking for a specific aspect of it. So, okay. Yeah, that's it. There's a word for it. I know it starts with a P, pareidolia. Pareidolia. It's like when you see faces in trees or in various shapes, right? Yeah, nice spring colors. It's not too flat in terms of the presentation of it. Probably I want to tweak this one in Lightroom a little bit, but I don't want to make it too colorful. I want it to kind of stay in these kind of greens and blues. So I kind of like where we are with that. Alright, I think what we'll do is, before paleontologizing finds me in raids, we will sneak out into Studio Cornix's channel, and 1 hour. I did pretty good. If you're not following Studio, she's a moderator here. She's a new streamer, and she could use some support. She needs follows and whatever else. And she's got the art and science sort of combination, and she's got these really cool emotes that are her own drawings. Super cool. So why don't we give her a raid, and then we can just hang out and watch what she's doing. So normally what she does is she does a little bit of microscope time. She puts some diatoms or other things on the microscope, draws them, and then puts the microscope away, then inks them, and she paints them. And the paints actually come from algal pigments that she grows in a farm in her house, or she sometimes buys them, I guess. So it's a really cool combination of like art and science, all natural stuff with the pigments, and then she usually like highlights them with these really cool charcoal backgrounds. So this little thing in the corner is some of her work. It's usually a lot of diatoms and then some other algae or whatever. So we'll give Studio a raid, and hopefully everybody enjoyed this sort of a short little stream that I was doing to work on some stuff. It's like I needed to do it anyway, so it's sort of nice to be able to share it with people while I do. Alright, it's short and sweet, the way we like it, and I can get to bed at a reasonable hour this way, so we'll go raid her. Thanks everybody for dropping in, for the subs, for the follows, just for hanging out and chatting with me. Very cool. We'll catch you later.